Hi everyone, anyway, I'm back again. This time it's with Adults in Crafts, which is customized DIY craft kits delivered to your door. I got another fragile one. Okay, I'm going to open that one first, I think. I'll put that one there. Haven't had a visitor. I'm surprised. Now these ones come from Colorado. Okay. Oh, there's a little sticker on it. Get rid of that. Hope everyone's been doing well. I have. I've been working. Okay, marbling clay kits. Okay. Let me how I could turn this. Alright. So, what we have here. We have a silicone mat. Cool. We have multiple colors of Sculpey clay. That's a lot of clay. We've got a tube roller in there. Oh, it does open up. Go. Alright. So we got a lot of clay in here. How many ounces? These are 2 ounces. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay, right there's a pound of clay. That's a pound of clay. Good. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. You've got almost 2 pounds of clay in here. I remember correctly, this monthly kit is $39.95. I'll make sure I put the price in the description down below. Okay, so you've got close to 2 pounds of clay. You've got a knife. Gotta have a knife to cut clay. A tube roller. You got a foam brush. You've got an oil-based Sharpie marker. Let's put that all back in there so it stays in there. We got paper. I throw it out so my cat will play with it. I don't know how many of you have cats, but every now and then cats get zoomies. What I call zoomies. And I've looked it up, and the experts say it's because cats will sleep and, be lazy and that for so long, and then all of a sudden they get this burst of energy and they just zoom around the house. Okay. So we also have Gloss Glaze by Sculpey. This is probably the fragile part. Keep it up well. We'll say that. Let's see what we got in here. Alright, we got what they call a ramekin. Ramekins actually come in different sizes, and they're often used in cooking. Sometimes you'll see chefs use ramekins, which are little bowls to hold ingredients when they set out their mise en place, which is where they set out all their ingredients so that when they start cooking, all they got to do is basically dump. Yeah. So, nice little ramekin. And there's a bowl. These are going to all be white. Yep. And that, let's see. China since 1847. World Porcelaina. And I'm thinking this is from overseas. Simply because of the phone number that's on there. And we have a plate. They do wrap these very well, so I'd be very surprised if anything was broken. And they include a plate, a Copa tableware. The ramekin and the plate are from the same company. Alright. We got that. Let's going to set this stuff back together. So we got the 3 ceramic pieces. We got the gloss glaze, almost 2 pounds of clay. We've got a roller. This is a rolling pin. We got the Sharpie marker, the foam brush, the knife, and we have a silicone mat. And again, this is basically something you can buy in a pizza or in a almost anywhere. You can find these silicone mats anywhere. They're usually in the baking section. But as with many crafts, you can abscond with them and use them for your craft making. So basically, they have the instructions. Making clay dishes. These can be beautiful decor used to hold many things like jewelry, keys, office supplies, accessories. These are not for food use. These instructions teach marbling and cracked pepper techniques. Provide 3 different oven-safe dishes in this kit to use for shaping the clay, but feel free to use any oven-safe bakeware. You preheat your oven, lay out the silicone mat, and choose your colors. Start by cutting the clay. The clay has already been pre-cut blocks, which is easy to separate. And they tell you how much you use. Like the little 2-ounce ramekin will use either 4 1/4 color blocks or 1 full block, and the plate and the bowl, the size that they have in here, will use 2 full blocks. You hand roll them out into long snakes. Each snake should be about the same size and length, about 5 to 6 inches. If you want your dominant color of your bowl to be white, add more white clay than any other colors. And it just goes to show you what you do. You pinch all the snakes together in one large snake, roll them out until they double in length, then twist from one end to the other and switch directions throughout the roll. So like when you have your snake, if you're rolling it away from you, you do that 3 or 4 times, and then you go 3 or 4 times back the other way. Flatten the ball down with your hand and then use the roller to roll the clay out evenly. Roll in all different directions to achieve an even thickness, about 1/4 inch. If you're unsure about how thick 1/4 inch is, you know, if you look on a ruler, you can find out where 1/4 inch is, because this isn't the best ruler, but you know that's 1/2 inch, and 1/4 inch is halfway in between. You can probably find something that is 1/4 inch tall so that you can use that as a measuring guide. Stack pennies up if you need to. Or get chipboard. This is the this here on this box is pretty darn close to 1/4 inch. Let me see. Well, that's a little shy. You might need 2 because they're about 1/8 thick, 1/8 inch thick. Yeah, so if you stack 2 strips of this together, you'd have 1/4 inch. If you want to make sure your height for your thickness is consistent. For diameter size, roll it out to match or align with the size of the oven safe item. So like if you're doing that little plate, it's probably about 5 inches, 4 inches. Make sure you don't roll it too thin. Now the crack pepper technique, it says here, use one of the black clays and roll it out, then add a few twists of cracked black pepper. Cool. And continue rolling it into the clay, adding the cracked pepper and roll until you have your desired look. That is a neat technique. Okay, once you roll it out, take out the bakeware and use it as an outline. You can also use a cookie cutter. Place the bakeware on top of the clay and cut around it to form a circle. Layer the marble clay on top of the bottom of the bakeware and lightly fold around the edges. This will form the side and rim of the dish. Put your favorite marbled side facing down on the bakeware, as this will be the side showing. Then use the clay knife to clean up any edges, smooth it out. If you've ever watched people make pie crust, when they get it in the pan and it's all laid out nicely and there's no air pockets or anything, they use a knife to cut right around the outside, and that's basically what you do. After you finish them, put them in the oven for 20 minutes and then remove from the oven. Allow to sit until completely cooled. Carefully and slowly remove the clay from the glass or bakeware one side at a time. Use some sandpaper to smooth out the edges and wipe it down with a slightly damp cloth to remove the excess dust. You should do that anyways before you place your gloss on them. Then you add your gloss glaze. You can add another layer by letting it dry for 30 minutes before adding another layer of the gloss glaze. Then you add use the gold paint pen to paint around the edges of the rim. And a trick with that is take and hold the tip on there, and if you have like a Lazy Susan, you can use that to help you go around. So that's a neat kit. There's a lot of neat things in here. And yes, it was a heavy kit. I was kind of wondering why it was so heavy. Now I know why. It's got almost 2 pounds of clay in it. Alright, so this is the next one. Now the nice thing about this one is you can get text messages when they are sending out the kit. So let's see what's in here. Oh, it's a weaving loom kit. Okay. I thought it was a crochet kit or a knitting kit. But it's a weaving loom kit. But that's okay. This would be neat. Alright. So you have a loom, which is right down here. This is a very simple, basic loom. You have green yarn, white yarn, and you have what they call oatmeal yarn. And that's not a full skein, that's just mill. Some people call it a mill end because it's not a full skein. These here are called skeins, and they're buttercream. Oh, that's good yarn. Luxcraft, and it's what they call a roving. That's why it's so fluffy. And it's considered a bulky 5. And this one is also buttercream. Let's see. That's roving. This one's alpaca. Now, this is some good yarn. Let me tell you that. It's made in Turkey. Now, this isn't 100% alpaca. It's 80% acrylic and 20% alpaca. But it's so soft. And this roving, it's got a little rougher texture, but it's still soft. And it's 100% wool. So if you are allergic to wool, I would not suggest using the buttercream alpaca roving, because it is wool. That's neat. The other thing you have in here is you have a comb, because as you're weaving, you use the comb to make tighten up your weavings. You have some beading twine, and this is what you actually load your loom with. This is we call it the warp or the weft. It's one of those. It's either warp or weft. And these aren't, they're made out of MDF. Let me tell you that. Then they have the needle so that you can just go sliding right through. Okay. And there is a dowel in here. That's for hanging up the finished project. And you're going to need scissors, tape, and a tape measure. Let me put this down the bottom. Now, yeah, they design these kits for adults, but I think a teen would enjoy this one especially. So let's set this to the side for a moment. You're going to make a wall art, and you can see right there what it's going to look like. And it gives you some tips, like when you're weaving, it's best that if you finish a color on the right side, you start the new color on the right side. If you finish it on the left side, you start the new color on the left side. Leave about a 3 to 4 inch tail, because you'll either tie these together or you'll tuck them in, hiding them so that they aren't seen. Note, one regular weaving roll is about 6 inches in yarn. Warping the loom, that's what it's called, the warp, okay? But there's also weft, and I can't remember where weft comes in. You basically tie a knot. You take that beading thread, you tie a knot around the top of this loom. So you tie a knot there, you bring it down, and you go under, up, under, up. That's how you create your strands for weaving. I don't want to lose anything over there. Okay. And you repeat it till you reach the last knot, and you tie another knot. Now you're going to use the oatmeal, which is the shortest amount you have. Cut 6.5 feet of the yarn to create the first 10 rows. You're going to loop it through the needle, leave them about 3 inches. You start at one end, go over, under, over, under, over, under. Okay. And they do have a video, and it just shows you And you do this so you have 10 rows. And the thing is, it should be tight, but not too tight so that it curves in. You want it all to stay the same tension. Let's put it that way. Now you use your comb to push down on the thread. Well, you should have about 3 or 4 inches of excess yarn. You can let that hang, or you could tie the 2 ends from the top and the bottom row together. Then you add the green hanging yarn. And it shows you how to do a raya knot. And they do have a video. You're going to do 5 of those raya knots. You're also going to do the lark heads knot, which is really simple. A lark heads knot is if I was, and you see the lark heads in macrame a lot. You fold the whatever you're using in half. You fold, if this was where I wanted I would go like this and then just pull the 2 ends through. And they call it a lark's head. Now you will also see, I don't even know where oh, that's the shoestring. This type of, if you tat it, done tatting, this is very similar, but we don't call it a lark's head, we call it a stitch. But this is the lark's head, and as you can see, that's all it is. So you're doing lark's head, you're doing rayas. You're going to cut another 6 feet of the oatmeal yarn and weave 2 full rows. It just talks about creating texture. Then you're doing the green yarn. Okay, this one seems to have been printed upside down. Then you do a color split, add more texture, then you remove it. And the way to do that is you start at the bottom, you cut your thread and you tie them together in a double knot. And you tie them together before you cut the next one. Otherwise, you're going to have a mess. And it talks about how to clean it up and make the V shape and everything. So this is a fun little project too. It gives you some great techniques on, it's a great small project to start with if you're interested in weaving. It's a nice little loom. Believe me, some of the looms I've seen, they're thousands of dollars. So, and they've got all the shuttles and the treadles so that when you press your right foot, certain strings go up. When you press your left foot and release the right one, the other strings go up. It's neat. So yeah. So this is another great one. And this is from Adults and Crafts. And I'll put the link down in the description box below, as well as the prices. So there'll be one more video after this, and that'll be the scrapbooking with me monthly kit. So that's it for this month for Adults and Crafts. So we'll see you next month. Bye.